just keep fighting, each and every game because it's any given Sunday.
Welcome to Mustard Cat Sports, episode number 6, The Challenge. I'm Lucas TA. To start off with, I absolutely sucked last week. Probably absolutely one of my worst losses and worst points day. 10 points. 10 points out of 30. Christopher beat me, not by much. He had 14 points, but a win's a win. I am now officially 0-4 and a tie. So we're really batting spectacular. And we also had some punishments. And basically, I'm going to become the new Vikings fan, even though I'm not a Vikings fan. So Michael was so kind of me, or so kind of him, to tell me that I need to buy a Vikings flag and put it in the back of the show here. So since I lost, I will have to do that. So I will be purchasing a flag this week and hopefully get it by next week. And you'll see it in next week's show, unfortunately. Not a Vikings fan at all, but at least they're winning. So other than that, we're going on to episode 6. And we have Eric in the house. Eric, welcome to Mustard Cat Sports Challenge.
Hey, thanks for having me. I would like to be in the top 5, but I'll take episode 6.
Hey, it's a top 10. So
yeah, hey, well at least I see that you're doing really well, and I'm gonna have some stiff competition.
Yeah, I guess the only thing to worry about is don't be the first person to lose. I told Chris for that, so pressure's on. I'm basically like the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they got to win this last weekend, so I just got to shoot for the fence now. So, well, we always ask the guests these questions, Eric. So we're gonna ask you the same questions. Where are you from, and where are you currently?
I am from Rochester, Minnesota, and I am currently there.
Oh.
I got out for a little bit in college, went to Duluth, and now I'm back.
Okay.
The old ball and chain and Mayo Clinic sucked me in.
Hey, that'll do it. Well, obviously, since we had you on here, you obviously enjoy sports at some, perspective. So, what sports do you truly like to watch, and which maybe not so much?
I'm big on hockey. Watch a lot of hockey, watch a lot of baseball and golf. Uh, there isn't really anything I won't watch.
Okay.
Even women's basketball is kind of growing on me a little
Yeah.
bit. So
Yeah.
it's exciting time in sports.
It is. And like we've been saying for the last few episodes, end of October, all 4 major sports will be playing. So that's always a fun time of year, especially if you enjoy all the sports. So, well, what's your favorite team or player of any sport?
Big Wild fan. We're going
Okay.
hockey. Kaprizov, of course. Big Red Sox fan.
Yeah.
Big David Ortiz fan. So
Okay.
screw the Yankees.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect.
That's where I stand on that.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Screw the Yankees. Did you play any sports when you were younger? And if you did or didn't, do you have any want to play any amateur sports, or do you play any amateur sports right now?
I do not currently. I grew up playing hockey and baseball. I'm old and out of shape now. 2 kids. I don't have time for that.
Yeah. Hey.
I mean, want, yeah.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, I would be playing professional, but
Yeah. No, I get that. Well, these are always the 2 hardest questions, and you have to choose one or the other. You cannot choose both, and you can't choose other things that are not said. so no other animals. If you have to choose, would you rather? Are you more of a dog person or a cat person?
Ooh. Um, so it's a double-edged sword there. I'm like I mentioned, I got two kids and I am got enough responsibilities with them, so I don't want to take care of anything else. But and my wife, we have a cat.
Okay.
So my wife is a cat person,
Okay.
which is like the only person known to like cats that I've ever heard of. I actually would be surprised if you had somebody say cats on your podcast. So I'm going to go with dogs.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
ultimately, I don't want to take care of either.
Either. Yeah. No. I enjoy dogs more. Last week Christopher actually said cats, um, just because then he doesn't have to take care of them as much. But
Uh,
he said they're also assholes. So
and he got picked to do the fifth episode.
Yeah. Yep. He did. We had to round that fifth one off with Christopher.
He must have flipped a coin.
Oh yeah. Okay. The final one, and probably the most controversial one. Are you more of a mustard guy or a ketchup guy? And you have to choose between one or the other. Which one are you taking?
Hands down, the only mustard I like is mustard cat sports.
Perfect.
Ketchup by far, and it's not even close.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, I'll take that. Other than that, if you don't have anything else to tell the people, we're gonna get right into current events.
Let's go.
All right. Well, we're obviously recording on a Tuesday, the 8th, and there wasn't going to be too terribly much current events that we were going to go through. It was more or less just kind of recap the weekend and get into something new that we're starting at Mustard Cats Sports Challenge. But the Jets and Mr. Woody decided to fire Robert Saleh, and he is now unemployed with a fat check still being paid out to him. So, uh, I uh, their defensive coordinator Jeff Umbrink uh, is taking over apparently, but I wouldn't really consider myself a Jets fan, but I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. Uh, I don't really care either way, but I will say this is Aaron Rodgers probably has one or two more good years left. Not as good as he used to play, but decent years. And Robert Saleh has been just lackluster, and he is the head coach. So, with any organization, if you're struggling or still doing basically the same results that you were doing last year with arguably a worse quarterback, obviously it can be thrown on Aaron Rodgers, but I think he had to be on the chopping block, and Robert Saleh got cut, and Aaron Rodgers basically now is on the chopping block. But I think now you can't really come back and be like, is it this person or that person? It's basically either Aaron Rodgers or maybe the whole team just needs to be fired. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts on that, but
Yeah, it's kind of crazy and makes you wonder how much Aaron Rodgers had to say in the
yeah,
decision. You know, they'll say, "Oh no, it wasn't anything he had to do with," but he sure gets an awful lot of say in who they bring in as free agents
yeah,
and and who they sign and stuff. So it's I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't watch the Jets at all,
yeah.
but
Uh,
so
uh,
whatever they do, what they do,
yeah.
but it's it kind of makes you wonder what Rogers got going on there.
Yeah, I'll agree. I don't think anyone really watches the Jets, but when Aaron Rodgers came to town, it was like, ooh, let's see what maybe might happen, but probably not.
Yeah.
I'm very convinced that there is some bad juju in the Jets organization because they've been struggling obviously for like 25 years. They had that one couple good seasons with Rex back in what 2010, I think it was, but they they're in a hole. So I think they're just firing away and cutting whatever dead meat off the bone that they can and see if they can work magic. Like, I guess we'll
Yeah.
see if the Devontae Adams thing comes through. I've also heard he might be going down to New Orleans now. But at the same time, I've also heard he's going up to Rodgers. But then I've heard that Devontae is like, I don't know how long Rodgers is going to be up there. And he doesn't want to be up there by himself, obviously, because everyone knows how the Jets organization is run. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't help that he has no weapons around him. Garrett Wilson's not playing good this year.
yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it kind of makes you think or look at how good of a decision Tom Brady made when he decided to come back in choosing
Yeah.
the correct team that
Yeah.
was I mean, Tom Brady is the GOAT in my opinion, but he chose the right team to come back to and it paid off.
Yeah.
Whereas just coming back for money
Yeah.
or, playing for the Jets.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tall order. So, but yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to speak about some of his thoughts tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say on that. And I guess the rest of their season. They are also obviously in pretty much a garbage division, besides maybe the Bills. But the Bills, I don't know who the Bills are, to be honest with you. So
Maybe Rodgers pitched like the darkness locker room type of thing, and Salah wasn't on board, and he had to go.
get him out of here. Turn the lights on and get this
We
guy
need
out of
lights.
here. Well, on I guess a positive note for Minnesota fans and Kansas City Chiefs fans, they're both 5-0, and I have my opinions about both of them. I think we'll get into more of what I think specifically on each of these teams in the little BS section coming up here, but they are 5-0, and you can't change that. But I don't think they are the most dangerous teams in the NFL. I'll say that. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think even any Vikings fan would not expect them to be 5-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy what they're doing. And Sam Darnold, speaking of Jets, I don't know how he's doing it.
Yeah.
but he's doing it. Kansas City looked pretty dominant last night, but yeah, they're not the same Kansas City that they've been in the past. And
No.
it's I think there's a few other teams. I think Baltimore looks pretty good, and a few other teams that can turn it on.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I circled the Baltimore Ravens down here because they started off not great, as in record wise, but they were showing a lot of good things, and they just weren't putting it all together. And I think they're definitely going to be a scary team, especially if they continue on that trend. So, but
Yeah, I think they're 3-2 now, but
yeah.
one of their losses was that opening week against Kansas City with a questionable call or either way. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, positive notes for Jacksonville. They got the first win. Maybe their only win. I don't know. But hey, now they don't have to be in that talk of, are they going to go 0-16? You got that monkey off their back, and now they can just sit back and maybe lock up the first round bye or first round draft pick.
Yeah, as a proud fantasy owner of Travis Etienne and his disappointing season, I've just quit watching Jacksonville altogether. I mean, it seems like they don't even use them in their offense anymore, and that seems about like anybody I draft in fantasy. So,
Hey, well, even though the quarterbacks aren't doing really great, just let me know. I'll send you some good quarterbacks, but I need something in return. So.
yeah, at least I got a win. Shout out, Gary.
Hey, Gary doesn't have a win. I'm ahead of Gary. So that should say a
Yeah,
lot.
you got 7 quarterbacks. Jesus.
5.
Mm.
Okay. That
started with 7.
Yeah. I got rid of 1. And I got rid of a tight end. I did have 3 tight ends. So well, I guess the last bit before we move on to week 6 and everything coming forward is, I don't know, the week 5 matchups. It again, I I'm confused about the NFL. Besides a few teams like the Ravens, I don't really know who some of these teams want to be or don't want to be. And they show up one week and then the next week they just kind of shit the bed. And it's just been like, who can I count on? You can't count on anyone right now. And we're heading into week 6, which is kind of the put up or shut up time. Like you either start laying it down, otherwise you need to make serious changes now. So
Yeah, there's a lot of teams like Detroit.
yeah,
Nobody knows what they're doing. Um, yeah, uh, another proud fantasy owner of Sam Laporta. He's a Laporta potty, is what he is.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, it's even the Vikings 5-0, and they if they played just the second half, I think they'd be 0-5.
yeah. I agree.
So it's yeah,
Yeah, they're yeah, it week 6 and week 7 I think are really going to hopefully shed a little more light, but right now, not to say this could happen, but the Panthers could turn it on and just go on a tear and somehow, be the top of the league, which is ridiculous, but
yeah. Not a
that's
big fan of the overseas games
yeah.
too much. I guess I get it. We got to promote it, but it's on way too early here. Nobody wants to get
Yeah.
up at 8:30
No.
and watch football. And then well, I think this last Vikings game was on NFL Network.
Oh, yeah, it might have
Yeah.
been, yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, who has NFL Network?
Yeah, unless
Nobody
you
has cable anymore. Everybody streams.
that's true.
So yeah, it irks me.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it definitely I think I touched on this with Sam a couple episodes ago. It sucks, especially for a really like nostalgic um, stadium like Lambeau Field. Like to take away a home game, which I don't know if they did when they went down and played in Brazil. I think they took away one from the Eagles, but if you're going to take one away from that stadium, like that stadium brings in people across the ocean. Like there, I've been to 4 or 5 of those games, and I've talked to people there that don't even like the Packers or don't even really like a football team, but they're like, if you're going to come to a football game, you should go to the Lambeau Field and check it out. Like it, I think that's just a travesty to take it away from any sort of amazing stadium because, I get you're trying to promote more outside the United States, but like, I don't know. Not that I want them to add another game, but maybe you add another freaking week just for that stupid reason.
Yeah.
So
And it's funny you brought up Brazil too. It's like, can we pick a little bit safer place to go? Like we got like the night before the players are being asked to shelter in their hotel rooms or do not leave the hotel floor. It's like, oh yeah, this is
yeah,
the perfect place to promote this game.
yeah, no, I, someone got a lot of money for that game. We'll just probably say that. That's probably why. So, because I don't know why, I don't know who they were pulling from there. Like, so, but whatever. Um, well, I'll kind of wrap up the weekend here at in the NASCAR world. There was a big wreck that involved 28 cars, one of the biggest wrecks ever. So that was cool if you enjoy, I guess, big wrecks. So, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the race. It, in my opinion, was just a lackluster, average race, nothing crazy. This car doesn't perform very good. So you kind of get obviously that if you saw any of the clips or anything, there's like some full ride racing, but they're not going at full throttle there. They're going from 60 to 80% throttle because they're saving gas. So obviously it's still a difficult feat and it looks cool, but I want to watch them go at it hard. And when they do that, they can't go 4 or 3 wide because these cars are junk. So
Yeah, I tuned in. I saw, or well, my son came and got me. He watches more NASCAR than me, but
Mhm.
he came up and said, "My guy's leading, my guy's leading." So I went in there and watched for a little bit. And at the time, they were like four wide and
Yeah,
five deep,
yeah,
going 200 miles an hour.
yeah. It's
It's like that's a hiccup away from taking out the entire field, which happened.
yep,
And I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised it doesn't happen more often.
yeah. No, it was very impressive to watch. It's just when you get down to the nitty gritty of it, it's not. They're more or less just riding around there, and I'm not taking it away by. It's easy to do that by any means. It's not, but it. I want to see them fight hard. That's like watching football players go like 50 or 60%. I want to see them go hard, hard in the paint. Um, but I guess we will kind of continue on and start with the up and coming weeks. And we got some bye stuff. So the Chiefs, the Rams, Dolphins, and Vikings are all off this week. So if you're a Vikings fan or Dolphins or Rams or Chiefs and you have any of those people on your fantasy team, make sure you get them off your team. I didn't take my own advice from the last show and I left someone in my roster and they weren't even playing. So shame on me. But I wasn't going to win anyways. So um baseball playoffs though have been going and now we're finally in the 5 game series, so that kind of helps us out in our game later on, because when we were doing a 3 game series it was a little harder to, because some people exited after game 2, so there was no game 3. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on the baseball. I tune in as just a generic fan and I enjoy going to the games, drinking some beers, but otherwise I don't really have a dog in the fight, so I just kind of hang out.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I guess it right now baseball's kind of come down to who spends the money
Mm-hmm.
and who doesn't spend the money, and teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Mets, they've spent the money and they're here.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think with football starting up, it usually kind of takes away from the MLB playoffs a little bit, but it's good. I like the I think this year they strayed away from the one game wild card play in,
yeah.
which is and they went to the 5 game series, which
Mm-hmm.
is good in my opinion because you're playing 162 games and then all of a sudden your season's over if you have one bad game.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah, it works out, but I think in the end you're going to see the same teams there because they got the money
Yeah,
or they're
yeah,
willing to spend it.
yeah. Money always talks in sports. You can get the best players, the best people, best equipment, whatever you need. So but like you said, you big hockey fan. Hockey is finally here. I do enjoy hockey, and I've been slowly but steadily getting better and better at it. I am nowhere near needing to be where I need to be, but it's very enjoyable to watch on TV. It's just action packed. It's always go go go. There's always something to look at. It's very rarely that it's like, well, what are we doing here? Like, so I'm excited for
Yep. Yeah. Actually starts tonight.
it.
Blackhawks and the Utah Hockey Club.
Yeah.
Speaking of excellent name choices. Uh yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to get it underway. Have something to watch at night during the week and
Mhm.
get going.
Yeah. No, like I said, I like hockey, and I've been getting a lot more acquainted with it, and it's grown on me probably the most out of basketball, baseball. Obviously, I enjoy football. I enjoy NASCAR, so it's definitely my third sport for sure now. So, but yeah, no NBA yet. That comes up here at the end of October, so we'll see what happens through there. Um,
Yeah, big things looking up for the T-Wolves.
yeah,
Coming off of a great year, got a couple. They look good in the preseason. They got a couple of new guys, Dillingham and Terrence Shannon,
okay,
and
so
I
you
think they're going to be good.
you watch some preseason stuff? I am not a
A little
preseason
bit,
person. Okay, okay,
little
okay, a
bit.
little bit. Okay,
I never watched basketball growing up, but
okay,
that's because from Minnesota, and
yeah,
for the last like 20 years we basically haven't had a team. So,
yeah, true. Yeah,
but
last year
yeah,
was an exciting one. So
yeah.
so well, we'll jump into this new segment that I think I'm going to start implementing each week. Basically, it's called BS, Bums and Studs, and I'm going to basically put a bunch of teams. There can be players, there whatever, but I kind of just started off with the NFL this week, and just did teams. But like it says, bums and studs. So you're either a bum or you're a stud. I did make a third category for fence riders because we have a lot of fence riders right now. I don't know where they want to go. Do they want to be bums? Do they want to be studs? I don't know. So we got that. And then there is one final category that I will go through at the end after the those three, which are called frauds. And frauds are very similar to bums, but not really because they're frauds. Like the definition says, they're frauds. So, and Eric, you can chime in when I get done with reading the bums, and you can either add some more bums if you want to, even players. Like I said, I just did teams for right now, or you can just agree or agree to disagree. But
Well, let me
start
pull up my fantasy team quick
perfect.
before we start the bums.
Well, we're starting with the bums. Easily these I think these are non-debatable bums. The 1-4 Panthers, they're bums. They're not going anywhere. They're just going to continue to be bums. The 1-4 Browns, they're going to continue to be bums. They're always bums. Maybe they look like they were going to be something else, but they show their true colors. They're bums. Dolphins, on the other hand, maybe had some promise in the beginning, but once Tua went down, maybe if Tua comes back, they change their tone. But as of right now, they are complete bums. They did win this week, but yeah, they were playing New England, who is next on the list, the 1-4 Patriots. Bums. They're just doing nothing. And of course, the Jaguars, because they got to win, but that doesn't allow them to get out of the bum area. They've been bums the whole season. The Raiders are bums. Even Devontae Adams wants out of there. So that if that tells you anything, the Cardinals. I put the Cardinals in the bums area because I'm not convinced on them doing anything. I've never been convinced in the last two decades. Obviously, they maybe had a couple splurts with Warner, stuff like that, but they're always just bums. Maybe a couple of spoilers they do, wreck people's seasons, but they're bums. The LA Rams, bums. Those guys, I was gonna put them in the frauds area, but oh my, like, no, they they don't change my mind. They are what they are, bums. So, and then the Titans, 1-3 Titans, bums. I don't see them changing ever, at least this year. So, I don't know if you got any more people to add, more people to ram down there, take out of
No,
there.
I agree 100%. Arizona definitely bums. Yep,
Mhm.
Kyler Murray is a bum. He's right here on my fantasy team, and no, they're just not what you would expect them to be.
Yeah,
Coming off a top five wide receiver,
I know.
and Kyler Murray, who can run the ball, and it seems like he has like 100 passing yards every game, and it's like how is that possible?
Yeah,
But yeah, that list is
uh,
pretty darn good.
yeah. It's bum central. With the whole Robert Saleh thing, I think you could probably put him in the bum area. But if it turns out that Aaron Rodgers is holding the whole thing back, then he can come out of the bums. So technically, I think he's in the bums right now. But if he's proven wrong, and it is Rodgers or someone else in that organization, then I think Robert comes out of the bums. But yeah,
Yeah.
so but moving on to studs, and there's a few studs on here. The Bucks, they're 3-2. They did lose, but they did look good, at least offensive wise, firing on all cylinders, putting points up. So I think the Bucks are studs. Falcons, same thing. Obviously, they beat the Bucks. Maybe not the biggest studs in the world, but they're definitely. I I wouldn't sleep on them by any means. Obviously, we have the Vikings on here because they're 5-0. You can't take like you can't. They're not fence riders. They're studs. At least for those first 5 games, a win's a win. Commanders, who are surprisingly 4-1, studs. They're putting points up and making shit happen. Running game looks good. Um, this one drives me insane, and it's the Texans. I think they're 4-1, but they're 3-2, I believe, and they're studs. But I'll have more to talk about them because actually, I'm just gonna pull the if they fall into the fraud category, I'm just gonna talk to you about them. And the Texans are frauds. They are the biggest frauds I think of the whole league right now. Everyone was so on that freaking train of they look great on paper. Stroud is coming. They got all these weapons, and they just laid some eggs early, and they just were not playing good football. And I don't think they're still not playing good football. I think they're shielding us from their true identity, and they're frauds. They're frauds.
For sure, after this next week now with Collins going out, they will. I mean, I watched a game and they threw it to him like 6 straight times. It's like you have 11 other players out there. Let's try and move it around. Yeah, it's yeah, they forced the ball to Collins and now he's out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're frauds, bums if not frauds.
Yeah. Yeah. Frauds heading to bums. So
Yep.
um and since I said the Vikings, I definitely want to put a little fraud on them. Maybe not the biggest frauds, but I think they're definitely a fraud. And one, because they have some bad juju over the organization. They love to just bring the Minnesota fans up and then crush them at the last second. And I very much think that they have a very good first half team, and they just haven't really shown up really in the second half because they really haven't had to because they usually get a lead. So it'll be interesting to see if someone ever gets ahead of them, which you'd think out of 16, 17 games, someone's going to get a lead before they do, and see what they can do from coming from behind. I'm not going to say that they're a complete fraud, but there's some fraudulistic activity I feel like going on there. So
I think all Vikings fans are waiting for the bottom to fall out. I think 2016 they started out 5-0 and they
yeah,
ended up 8-8 to finish the season. So it's like just waiting,
yeah.
just waiting.
Well, that's the positive thing, I guess, about being a Vikings fan is, since you've been through all this turmoil, it's just like you kind of know what's going to happen. So you're not surprised when it does. So it's a positive and negative, but
It's psychotic.
yeah. um, where was I here? So then I also have the 3-2 Ravens as studs. We kind of talked about them already. I believe in them. I think they're probably one of the most dangerous teams out there, like well rounded. So I'm a huge believer in them. So
Yeah, they have the defense. They can Derrick Henry running the ball looks. Nobody knew if he was going to come back healthy and strong and do what he did in te for the Titans, but yeah, he's proven all that. And Lamar Jackson looks better than ever.
yeah, he
I think
does.
they're gonna make a run for it.
Yeah, I would not mind seeing them win the Super Bowl and him winning the MVP again. So um I do have the Packers on the studs. And the reason for this is just because one, I'm a Packer fan, and two, um, I think they're a little closer on the fence rider. They're not riding the fence. I think in the next 2 games, I'll definitely be able to distinguish are they back to fence riding or if they're going to be studs. Um, with Jordan Love, he's come back. He's looked rusty and a little iffy, but he's also played put up some really good fantasy numbers. So um, I'm putting them in studs for now. They're not a high stud, but definitely I feel like they're probably around the, not to say the Falcons are the same as them, but I feel like people sleep on the Falcons a little bit right now just because Kirk Cousins and just the Falcons the way they are. So
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised the Packers didn't stick with Willis one
yeah,
more week against the Vikings, a
yeah,
fast defense, and I mean, Love after a couple hits, he looked like I look like when I'm getting out of bed in the morning. He just hobbling around. It was not a pretty sight. But the second half, they proved that I think they're studs too. I would agree with that.
yeah,
They
yeah,
can mount a comeback.
yeah. They're definitely not high, but they're in the stud level. Chiefs, 5-0. Obviously, it's like the Vikings. They're in the stud area because they're 5-0. You can't put them anywhere else. But I'm definitely putting them down the frauds, and they're definitely a bigger fraud than the Vikings in my opinion, because there's been way too many controversial calls that have costed or changed the whole game trajectory by a lot of these calls, by the refs. So I don't know if that is any true weird stuff going on there, but I want to I want to hate a team because they're damn good, and the Chiefs are not damn good. They're just good, and they have a lot of really good calls for going for their team. And I don't want to hate the refs. I want the refs to be just do their job. I don't want to hear about them, and I want to hate a team because they're freaking good. But I think without any of those calls, uh, the Chiefs are maybe like 1-4, 2-3. So they're definitely frauds. They're not an undefeated team by any means.
Yeah, agreed with that. Yeah, they've gotten a lot of calls their way, like we talked about earlier in week one,
Mm,
and even a couple yesterday.
yeah.
But yeah, it makes you kind of wonder, is it a Taylor Swift effect or what's going on?
I don't know, but if they win the Super Bowl, there is going one, the Chiefs fans are going to be just the happiest people in the world. But I think the other fans, the other 31 fans, teams are going to be a little bit suspicious because, yeah, well, hopefully that doesn't happen because I'm just tired of really talking about it, and we're only
Hmm.
like 5 weeks in, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. The last people that I put on the studs are the 3-1 lines. Uh, the reason why I stuck them on there is because I don't think they're as much of a fence rider. They're darn close. They've had their hiccups here and there, but I think overall they're a little more on the stud side. So I stuck them up there. I want to see a couple more games to solidify the stud or not, but they I didn't feel like they deserved the fence riding. So
Yeah, I would put the Lions as bums. I think I mean, after last year, the expectations that they had, they were going to come out and just dominate the
yeah,
Central.
yeah,
And Sam Laporta coming off a excellent rookie year was going to be a reincarnation of
yeah.
Travis Kelce, and he is like non-existent in their offense this year. And they can't replicate it. They're supposed to take the next step up, and I think they went back a step. So I would have to put them at bums.
Hey, uh, I'm not against that. I guess we could agree to disagree and just put them in the fence riders for a few more weeks and see what happens. But yeah, for the fence riders, I have the 2-3 Jets, who they're definitely fence riders, but they are trending to the bums. Um, then I have the 3-2 Bears, who are on the fence riders, but they're frauds. They're not fence riders by any means. That record just doesn't even, I think, remotely describe them. So they're frauds, and they should be bums with a worse record, but somehow But I don't know, they have a 3-2 record. I don't know your
Yeah, the
thoughts on that.
Jets. Yeah, after the firing, they're they're pretty close to fence post riders. They're I think they're screwed. I
Yeah.
I don't see them digging their way out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think their only saving grace would be Devonta Adams. I don't think they turn into a studs by any means, but I think they claw themselves out of being less than 8-8.
Yeah.
So, uh, then the rest of the people on the fence, they're just fence riders. I got the 2-3 Colts, the 3-2 Bills, the 3-2 Broncos, the 2-3 49ers, 2-3 Seahawks, 2-3 Giants, 3-2 Steelers, 3-2 Cowboys, 2-3 Saints, 2-2 Chargers, 2-2 Eagles. Because I don't know who these people are. They like show up one week and they're like kick some ass, and then the next week they lay an egg, and it's like I don't know who you should beat. And the Saints, if they would have won last night, they would have been the studs. But I don't know who. I don't know. On all those guys, I don't know who they are.
Yeah. Every one of those teams you named, I would keep changing the channel.
Yeah.
I would keep flipping through if I saw their game on. It's just
Yeah.
it's kind of boring. You don't know
Yeah.
what you're gonna get.
No. And like yeah, it'll be exciting to see the next 2 to 3 weeks, because I think a lot of these teams hopefully will figure it out or not. We'll see which way they're going, because otherwise we're gonna have a really weird playoff. So
Yeah, there's no standout. Usually at this time in the year there's like four or five teams
yeah,
that haven't had a loss yet, and it seems like
yeah,
everybody's going to finish it eight
yeah,
and eight, you know.
yeah.
But
It'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of the BS. Definitely think we'll keep doing the BS every week, and as we go forth, there'll be more than just NFL teams on here. I just wanted the NFL teams because I felt like the NFL teams deserve to be called out for all their bums and fence riders, and frauds. Studs need a little love, but they're studs. You don't need to. So, I guess, do you have any other people, teams that you want to put on any other categories? Otherwise, we're moving on to the main event.
no, I think you got it summed up perfectly.
All right. Well, we will move on to the meat and potatoes, the game show, the challenge part. And for everyone that doesn't know,
This is
how
where you do not thrive.
that is correct. This is where I have 0 wins, 4 losses, and a tie. And how this works, me, the host, Eric, the guest, go up against each other. I will give out a bunch of different games or questions, scenarios from baseball, hockey, all the top 4 or 5 sports, whatever who is playing at this time. And we'll pick teams, and at the end of the weekend, technically Monday, at the end of Monday night's game, when that ends, tally up the whole score. Whichever one of us has the most points, which you can only get points by getting it correct. If you get it wrong, you get no points. So there's no negative points. You can only get points if you get it correct. And it's 1 point per each question. At the end, if I end up beating Eric, which hopefully I can get my first win, then Eric doesn't have to do anything. He just has the unfortunate feeling of getting his ass kicked by me, which you don't want that to happen. And I can celebrate. So, but if I lose, if someone is so kind to put a punishment down in the comments and it gets the most likes, it has to be a comment with the most likes. It can't just be a comment of a punishment and no likes. It has to be a punishment with the most likes. And if I lose, I have to do that, kind of like I have to be a Vikings fan anytime the Packers play for the end of this year and next year, playoffs included if it does happen. So I have to wear a jersey, and I have to post that on social media when that does happen. And now that I lost this last week, I'm going to have to get a lovely flag of the Vikings to put up in the back. So I'm going to become the biggest Vikings fan and I do not like the Vikings. So great. Thanks a lot, Michael and Ryan. Uh, so any punishment goes. It doesn't have to be sports related. It just has to be something somewhat legal that I can post for content. So, other than that, we're going to get started. And we are going to start off with Wednesday MLB. And there's 4 games. And can't talk. If there's 2 game 3s and there's 2 game 4s. So for some reason, the 2 game 4s are done. Like someone won. I don't think that's gonna happen by looking at the stats already, but for some reason it's a wash. We just won't count that point. So it'll just go away. So but for our Wednesday games, we have the Guardians at the Tigers. Who do you want, Eric?
Oh, that's an easy one. I think it's going to be the Guardians.
Okay.
Tigers, they're coming off a big walk-off win, 3-run home run last night, but Cleveland's been doing it all year, and I think Detroit's just hot right now. But
Well,
I got Cleveland.
I'm going with the Tigers, and not just because you went that way. Because I've been having a hot streak picking the Tigers in this game, and they've been doing work for me. So I'm gonna hope they continue doing work for me because all my other picks don't seem to do work for me. But the Tigers do. Every time I'm picking the Tigers, it's a W. So should be scared now.
They got all 10 points last week.
The second game, we got Phillies at the Mets. I kind of like the Phillies, so I'm shooting the Phillies way.
Yeah, these are 2 teams that I could care less about. Philly, I just don't like the people of Philly.
That's true.
So shout out to you if you're watching this podcast. Just terrible. But yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Phillies too. I think
Okay.
it's gonna come down to pitching. Doesn't seem like either team can hit. So
Yeah, I will agree with you. The Philly fans are psychos, and they're fun to watch on videos when their teams win because they just wreck everything. But they are some rude and crude fans. So
yeah, I think Castellanos had the walk-off hit for the win, and then the next game he was booed for swinging at the first 2 pitches of his at bat because he swings too much right away, I guess. And then they cheered when it was a ball and you didn't swing. It's like, oh my gosh.
they're a different breed. The third game, though, we got Yankees at the Royals. Who do you got?
I'm taking the Royals over that other team.
All right.
We don't really say that name in our household, and I don't think I would ever pick them. But yeah, go Royals. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'm going the opposite way, and the only reason why I'm going the opposite way is because I need some luck, and I can't win if I'm just taking the same people as you. So I'm going to go with the Yankees. The final baseball game we got is Dodgers at Padres. I really like the Padres. So I'm going with Padres.
I am the opposite. The Dodgers will win this game, and
the series.
I know you asked for it, so here's my hot take.
Okay.
Brought to you by Mustard Cat Sports. Shohei Ohtani is the best MLB player ever.
Okay.
That is my take, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, "Oh, Babe Ruth. What about Babe Ruth?" Babe Ruth did not face 6'5" Dominican Republic guys throwing 100 miles an hour. He ate donuts, ripped cigs, and drank beers. There's no way. Yeah, and what he's doing is absolutely insane right now. So yeah, and being a Red Sox fan, big Mookie Betts fan, cheering for the Dodgers. Although I don't like how they got all the money and everything, but
Yeah. Okay. Well, I enjoy hot takes like that, so maybe we can stir some people up with that. So, well, that's all we got for baseball. We're moving on to Thursday, and before we do Thursday night football, hockey is back. I decided to go with Thursday, just because then we can get the Minnesota Wild in, a couple other teams. I kind of like to pick teams that either I enjoy. It's very biased, but I need the bias because I have no wins. So, but I also try and pick whoever's going to kind of be on, to kind of Midwest people. We trade in the Midwest area. We're not going to, but so first one, Pittsburgh Penguins at Detroit Red Wings. I'm just going to start off and tell you I'm going with the Pittsburgh Penguins because I'm a big mascot person, and if you don't have a good mascot or I don't like your mascot, it's hard for me to pick you. And even though Red Wings have a cool logo, I like the Penguin better. So I'm taking Pittsburgh.
I have the Red Wings in this one, and they're actually
Huh?
they're going to be a sleeper this year, and I think they're gonna make a run for it. They're going to be a good team. They got a lot of young players in DeBrincat and Sider, and
Okay.
with Patrick Kane there and Tarasenko now, it's they're going to be a tough team to play.
All right. All right. This next one, I'm gonna assume that you're gonna take the Minnesota Wild because it is Columbus Blue Jackets at the Minnesota Wild. Am I correct on that statement?
Yeah, actually, and you can put Columbus in the bums category of the last segment. They're they're going to be bad this year. I mean, they obviously RIP Johnny Gaudreau. They lost their heart and soul,
They did.
but but yeah, they're going to be terrible.
I agree with you, and I'm also taking Minnesota. I've been to that stadium or ice rink um, 3 times, and I enjoyed it every time. So I actually have some Minnesota Wild gear. So out of all the Minnesota teams, I would say the Wild is probably the only one that I have can say that I've cheered for because I wanted to, not because I was forced to. So, well, I picked this one because I feel like it's a kind of shot in the old heart for Minnesota people. But we got the Dallas Stars at the Nashville Predators. Taking the Predators because I like Nashville. So,
I got to take the Stars. I think they're gonna pick up right where they left off, and they're my heavy cup favorite. I think they're gonna win it this year. That'll be a
okay.
early pick. They're just deep and they're good.
So after this next one, I'll ask you who you think your two teams are going to be in the Stanley Cup.
All right.
Um, but this last game is going to be the St. Louis Blues at the San Jose Sharks. Only reason why I picked this is because if I really truly had to choose a team, not on players wise, but I enjoy that shark. Oh, and I'm not even a shark person. I hate sharks in real life, but man, I love that shark.
Mm.
And you're shaking your
Yeah.
head.
For the, yeah, for the competition, then I'll take the Blues because the Sharks are just terrible. I think they're right with Columbus. They were terrible last year, and but hey, at least they look good doing it.
That's true. Well, that's all of our hockey on Thursday. But who do you think is going to be in the Stanley Cup? The last two teams. Who's going there?
I think that the Stars are going to be there. I know a lot of people think the Avalanche will. I don't. They just always seem to falter, and they don't really get the good goaltending when they need it. And
Yeah.
I think Ottinger is just unreal in net for Dallas, and I think they're going to be there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Florida wasn't there again.
Yeah.
They're bringing back pretty much the same team, and they've been there 2 years in a row now. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I definitely agree with you on the Avalanche. They're, I think they're a very powerhouse team, and that's my words through Sam and Gary.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, they do seem to like to falter sometimes in bigger games, or just like they just fall apart sometimes, and it's like jeepers.
Yeah, they got a lot of money tied up in that top line, and like some other teams with more depth, when one line's not performing, the other line can step up. Well, their
Yeah,
second and third lines are good, but they're not Stanley Cup good.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, switching sports up, but staying with Thursday, we got Thursday night football, and we have the 2-3 49ers at the 3-2 San or Seattle Seahawks. I almost read the same one. Uh, who you taking?
I got Seattle in this
Yes.
one. San Francisco's been kind of a disappointment. I know they've been
Yeah.
riddled by injuries, but they can't seem to figure it out for as dominant as they've been the last few years, and
Yeah.
essentially bringing back the same team.
Yeah. I want to say the 49ers because I want to say that then I can have an extra point over you, but I have to agree with you. Once they do lose this game, they will very, very closely start becoming bums. So I'm going with Seattle also. Um, the other question with this one, though, is which QB will throw the most interceptions in this game? So you can either say, Seattle or San Francisco, or you can take a third route and say there'll be no interceptions if you want to go that way.
I think it's loud. They're up in Seattle. I think Purdy will throw one interception. I don't
Okay.
think Gino will throw any, but
Okay. So you
yeah,
got
Purdy will throw one.
49ers. Um, I am actually going to go 0. And I think there's going to be no interceptions in this whole game. There might be some fumbles, don't get me wrong, but there'll be no interceptions. So I'm going 0. Going on to Saturday, which we have college football. And I just, for how much like I enjoy like mascots and stuff, I don't watch enough college football. And I don't know why, but I just don't. And my college football this year has been atrocious. So good luck. Our first one is the 3-2 California Golden Bears at the 5-0 Pittsburgh Panthers, and the Panthers are ranked 22. Who are you taking there?
Yeah, like you, I watch zero NCAA football, so I'm gonna just have to go based on first player that comes to mind when I think of each team and which player I like better.
Okay.
So when I look at Cal, Aaron Rodgers, and when I look at Pitt,
Hmm?
Dan Marino.
Okay.
Rodgers a little better. I'm gonna go Cal.
Yeah. Okay. I originally was going to go with the Golden Bears, but they screwed me over last week by losing by 1 point, which obviously isn't much, but 1 point is 1 point. And I'm going to take the home team and the undefeated team with the Panthers. So don't let me down. The second game is the 5-0 Texas Longhorns, ranked number 1, at the 4-1 Oklahoma Sooners, who are ranked 18, which I think could be a very interesting game. But I don't think I can go against the Longhorns, so I'm going to stick with the Longhorns.
Yeah, when I think of Texas, I think of Vince Young, and when I think of Oklahoma, I think of Adrian Peterson. And Adrian Peterson is one of the best to ever do it. So I'm gonna have to go Oklahoma.
Oh wow, that is a. If that turns out that I'm not saying it can't. Like that's very
I can get invited back for week 7.
no.
Oh.
I'm trying to get wins. I'm
Yeah.
going to be turned into a forced Vikings fan.
Yeah. Look at this guy's podcast. He has this game he hasn't won yet. He hasn't won in 3 years.
He's had 50 guests on. He can't win a goddamn
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. He even had a 3-year-old on.
Hey, I do have some interesting people coming up. I won't release their names because I haven't gotten any confirmation from them, but I've talked to them, and a few of them I feel like have little to no sporting knowledge, or like they know sports but they don't like. So that'll be really interesting because that's gonna suck when I lose against that because
Mm.
then I've nothing to say. I just suck. I'm a bum.
Yeah, fraud.
The third game, we have the 5-0 Ohio State Buckeyes, who are ranked number 2, at the 5-0 Oregon Ducks, ranked 3. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. Who are you taking there?
Well, Ohio State, old Eddie George,
Okay.
and Oregon, I think of Justin Herbert. So I'm gonna have to go Ohio State.
Ohio State. Okay. Um, I'm going to go the opposite. And the only reason why, I really like the Ducks, their uniform. I like that green, that bright yellow, and I don't know what it is about the Buckeyes. Anytime I see their fans on screen when they show them, they're not doing anything that just drives me nuts, but there's just something about them that just pisses me off, and I don't want to root for that, so I'm not taking them. Last game for Saturday, we got Old Miss Rebels, 5-1, ranked 9, at the 4-1 LSU Tigers, ranked 13. Mm. I'm just trying to make up my mind right now about this right now, and I'm just gonna go with Old Miss. So,
Yeah, I'm going LSU. Growing up,
oh,
growing up a Pats fan. Um, Eli Manning went to Ole Miss, and he's the only one that beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. So screw Ole Miss.
all right, all right. Well, that will be an interesting one because we did not line up one bit on that one. So that kind of scares me. But okay, we'll move on. Before we do NFL Sunday, we got one NASCAR question. So, does a playoff driver win or a non-playoff driver win on Sunday's race at the Charlotte Roval? Um, in the last 5 races since they started the playoffs, 3 of the last 5 have been non-playoff drivers. They are at a road course, which you'll definitely have people chasing points, people chasing wins. So this will definitely be a lot easier for a non-playoff driver to win. Ugh. I'm still saying with the playoff driver, so I'm gonna go playoff driver.
Yeah, I actually have the script um,
Oh,
here. Yeah,
perfect.
so we'll just settle it. But yeah, actually, I think it will be a playoff driver, and
Okay,
it will be William Byron
that
winning
is that
this
is a
week.
good one there. I will.
His consistency, and that's my son's favorite, so that's why I picked him.
I will write William Byron on there, and if he's the guy, and if for some crazy reason we tie, that will be the tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker. All
So
right.
hopefully that's not the tiebreaker. That's going to drive me insane if that.
Guy that doesn't watch any NASCAR comes in and picks the winner of a race.
I don't know if you want to know the facts behind the NASCAR ones. I have all the paper behind me every week. I have, for all the NASCAR knowledge that I think only won one time, and that was last week. So if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
All right, on to football. Football noon. Also the 8:30 game, the very first game, which is over in England. We have the 1-4 Jacksonville Jaguars at the 3-2 Chicago Bears. Oh my God, this is just atrocious. I want to say the Bears are going to just destroy them, but I think the Jaguars get their second win, so I'm going with the Jaguars.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think it's gonna be boring. Not one to wake up for.
Oh yeah, definitely don't get up for that game. 8:30 Central, no way. Uh, Second game, but the start of the noon games. You got the 2-3 Arizona Cardinals at the 3-2 Green Bay Packers. Who are you taking?
Well, I assume you are gonna take the Packers, and I'm gonna take the Packers too.
Yes.
They're gonna bounce back. Uh, Arizona doesn't know who they are, and Love is continuing to get healthy. So
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers also. I agree with you there. If the Arizona pulls this off, I will be very surprised, especially it's in Green Bay. So Green Bay, I think, takes it, proves that they're still a good team. If they don't win, well, then we have some movement because they will be falling from the stud area. uh, Game three, we have the 2-3 Indianapolis Colts at the 1-3 Tennessee Titans.
boring.
Yeah.
I think this game is gonna be who will suck less.
Well, who's going to suck less?
The Colts, I guess.
Okay. Oh gosh. Part of me wants to take Tennessee because they're at home and they're just coming off a bye, and it's a good way I can get some points on you. But I agree, it's Indianapolis. I don't know how they pull that off any other way. So fourth game is the 4-1 frauds Texans at the 1-4 New England Patriots. I'm taking the Patriots because I think the frauds will show their fraudulent selves. So Patriots win a squeaker.
I'm gonna take the frauds. I'm
Oh,
gonna take the Texans. I think with all the injuries, they're gonna be forced to actually use other people in the offense, and I think they're just gonna go off. Stephon Diggs will get the ball more.
yeah.
Tank Dell might catch one pass.
Oh, that'll either be a blowout or yeah, they're losing. Fifth game in the noon, we got the 3-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 2-3 New Orleans Saints. Man, this could actually turn out to be a good game, especially if the Saints show up. Um, but I'm taking Buccaneers. So
Yeah, I got Tampa Bay too.
yeah,
Yeah, you don't know if the Saints are gonna show up. Baker's been playing well lately.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans won, but I feel like Buccaneers are a better overall team. They're gonna win. So uh Jeepers. The 1-4 Cleveland Browns at the Philadelphia Eagles. I hope the Philadelphia Eagles win. I'm taking Philadelphia.
so with these games, what you're saying is probably don't have to turn the TV on until about 3.
Yes.
Uh Yeah, Eagles at only because they're at home, I guess. You don't know which team's going to show up,
Yeah.
but yeah, I got to go with Philly too.
Yeah, I it's just that's too risky to take Cleveland. They're just yeah, no way. Um this last one, this one maybe might be worth watching because you got the 4-1 Washington Commanders who have been playing very well at the 3-2 Baltimore Ravens, and the Ravens look good. They just kind of fluttered in the beginning. I'm I'm going to take the Commanders. I think they pull off a win here. Even though I do like Baltimore, I just
Yeah, and I mean, with your track record, I hate to keep picking the same teams you do, but I think Washington too. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be the rookie of the year by far, and I think he's going to put an exclamation point on it by beating the
Baltimore.
Ravens.
Yeah. Well, the positive about when we pick the same team, if we're both right, it really doesn't affect us. But if we're both wrong, it doesn't affect us. So then that just puts more emphasis on the games that we went left and right on. Like the Jaguars and Chicago Bears. Thanks a lot. Now that's going to make me really mad. The afternoon games, we got 4 games, and we got the 2-2 LA Chargers at the 3-2 Denver Broncos. Who you taking?
I got the Chargers in this one. Off a
Okay.
bye, they'll be rested. I just don't have any faith in Denver. I don't. I don't ever bet on them. I don't. They're just a blah team.
I I I agree with you there, but I am going to take the Broncos because I shat on the Broncos last week, and they did pull something out there. And I'm not a believer, not in Herbie. I think he's a great quarterback. I just think that team around him is just complete trash. They could surprise people next year or the year after, but this year, not happening. Denver another win and somehow turns into a 4-2 team. Game 2, 3-2 Pittsburgh Steelers at the 2-3 Las Vegas Raiders. I'm taking Steelers. I don't know who you're taking.
Yeah, Steelers. They had a bad loss to Dallas last week, and I think they're just gonna take it out on the Raiders and whoever they have on their team.
Yeah, the Raiders. Again, I believe that Devontae wants out of there. Have you heard of any player going to the Raiders and just turning their career around in the last 15 years? I
No.
can't say I have ever. So they're out. They're not going to win.
Speaking of that, when you think about it, you rarely even these days find a player that goes to a different team and excels. It seems like the grass is not always greener on the other side. You can name a handful. I can't think of. I mean, I guess Derrick Henry's doing it this year, where
Yeah.
he's kind of excelling. But usually, when a player wants more money and they leave, Stephon Diggs went to Buffalo, went
Yeah.
about the same as Minnesota. Now he's in Houston as the second wide receiver. Doesn't really get the ball. I mean, he had it as good as he could have had it here in Minnesota, and
Yeah,
it's
I would agree with you there. There's probably a handful. Like I think Randy Moss, even though he did go to the Raiders at one point, but then he did go to the Patriots.
yeah.
So yeah, there's very few, very few. So um, game 3, Detroit Lions 3-1 at the 2-3 Dallas Cowboys. Good freaking lord, this is just going to come down to who decides they want to play. If Dallas shows up like they showed up last weekend, they have a chance. But if they don't, Detroit will win no matter what. Not saying Detroit's better. I just think Detroit's more consistent. So I'm going Detroit.
Yeah. I was gonna start Dak in fantasy this week, so I'm gonna go with the Lions.
Okay.
I'm assuming he's gonna just not show up and lay an egg. And like you said, yeah, it's a bet. You don't know which team you're gonna get,
No,
which is like half the NFL this year.
I know. Uh, now this one, we have 2 Falcons at the 1-4 Carolina Panthers.
I think non-primetime Kirk Cousins is gonna dominate. The game's not in prime time, so Kirk will do all right. And
Um,
Sam will move Bijan Robinson to his bench, and then he'll go off. So I think it'll be a good week.
um, I want to agree with you, but I'm going on a limb here, and I'm thinking we have the worst upset of the weekend. And even though that I put the Atlanta Falcons in the studs area, I think they lay an egg. And the Carolina Panthers pull something out of their butt.
Hey,
And
they could. I heard. I think I read this morning that Bryce Young is going to start.
oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he came in late for
Andy
um,
Dalton.
Andy Dalton at the end of last game, and then I think they said he's going to continue being the starter. So
Well,
if that means anything to those fans,
I am now regretting writing that down. So thanks for that. You could have said that a little earlier before I put the mark down, but whatever. That's on me. I didn't do my research.
yeah, could have used a pencil.
Yeah. No, you have to use a permanent marker. Otherwise, I'm going to be changing the answers, Um, on to Sunday Night Football, which good grief. The 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals, who have I don't even know what to think of that team. Like at the 2-3 New York Giants. Oh my, oh my. Who are you taking?
I think this will be my upset. I think the Bengals are going to figure it out and they're going to stomp the Giants. I think
Okay.
they are going to blow them out.
Oh man. See, good lord. Like if the Bengals show up and run a whole game, put it all together. Yeah, I think they're a good team. They can do it. I don't I don't think they're doing it. I don't think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be low scoring. And I think the Giants pull like a touchdown or 3-point win. It's not going to be a good primetime game. So, second question, will Daniel Jones has not thrown more than 2 touchdowns in a game this year. Does he throw 3 or more touchdowns this Sunday?
No way.
No
No,
way.
I'm predicting one, but yeah, I surprised he'll get two. Yeah, I think they're going to blow them out. I think it's going to be 30-10.
Well, I I'm gonna agree and say no, he doesn't get 3 or more, but they're still gonna pull the win out because it's gonna be a really low scoring game. So I'll say no also. On to Monday Night Football, which this could be a good game, or it could be a complete blowout. I don't think it's gonna be either or. I think it's either gonna be a shootout or a blowout. And we got the 3-2 Buffalo Bills at the 2-3 New York Giants. Cripes. Well, since I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, I gotta say, the Jets. So hopefully,
Yeah, I'm going to go Bills.
Bills.
I just find it hard to believe a new coach come in, he's going to have to run the same scheme. It's not they're
Yeah.
going to be the same team, which is just a bunch of bums. Bills.
All right. The last question for the Monday night. We got Josh Allen, who has thrown 0 interceptions this year, which is quite impressive. Does he continue his interception streak? And I'm saying no. I think he finally throws his first interception.
Yes, he does.
Oh,
Uh,
he's gonna continue it.
Jets,
Okay.
watching the Vikings Jets game.
Oh,
Jets secondary got banged up last week. Sauce Gardner's questionable. I think they're going to have a bunch of backups. So,
okay. All right. Well, this is going to be an interesting one, Eric. We have a few that are like similar, so that's good. But then our college is complete opposites. Oh, I'm
and
really,
that's where we're both most knowledgeable.
I'm really nervous about this one. Oh man, this is either going to turn completely wrong, and I'm going to probably get one of the worst scores that I've ever gotten, or I'm going to look like the smartest person in the world. Well, in this small world.
Yeah.
So, any other last minute thoughts, discussions, anything else you want to say to the world, or any facts, anything?
Sports card world is thriving.
Yeah,
Get out there, go to shows, buy cards.
yeah,
I mean, people's values are only going up.
true.
The good players, you can still get in um, on young players uh, while they're cheap.
Yeah, no,
So I'm a big sports card collector and dabble in a little bit of Pokemon. So
okay,
hit up the trade shows.
yeah. When we have you on again, Eric, well, the second round of people that's coming on, obviously the questions are a little different. We have some sports memorabilia and sports card questions. So we'll definitely have you back on. But I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. And for everyone watching, we actually did this earlier than I normally have it. So the guest isn't sleepy. In the end of Christopher's, he looked quite sleepy. But it was like midnight where he was, or 1 o'clock. So, but Eric, yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you do okay, and I do just a little better. But yeah, so
Yeah, keep open. I mean, thanks for having me on, and it's a pleasure. I'll come back anytime.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'll definitely have you back on, especially if I beat you. Then you're definitely welcome back on. So,
Mhm.
other than that, everyone make sure you put a punishment down in the comments, because if I lose, I have to do the punishment as long as the punishment has the most likes on it. So go do that. Also, make sure you subscribe to Everything Mustard Cats, all of our social medias, and make sure to check out mustardcats.com. We have a bunch of sports cards, memorabilia on there. Other than that, everyone have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy some sports throughout the weekday and weekend. And it's fall time, so the leaves are falling, the pumpkins are rolling, and football is here.